So now all you've got to do is mount all this in a trailer and take it on the road.
Yeah, ain't happening. No, it's enough of a problem carrying my normal stuff. This is what I want.
You can get this on the train.
Yeah, just come and sit down. The only thing is I still have to set up my cameras and stuff. Anyway.
Short commute to the house, though.
Yeah, exactly. But, right, so this is basically our first podcast.
It is.
It's a test for both of us.
It's going to be an experience for everyone.
So basically, context, we're mates, but we have our own separate businesses, but we help each other out when needed. I'm a bit more of a video service, so I just like a bit corporate. Someone needs something recording, they'll give me a shout. I'll jump in. You've got more of a production company, like commercials and stuff like that.
Yes.
You've got like a partnership with Sky.
Yes.
So you're thinking about the concept and then having to bring everything into place to make it happen. So
you make me feel jealous of you now.
Yeah.
This ridiculous life I've set up.
I'm a simple man.
Yeah, I think I need a slice. I need a slice of that.
Yeah, no,
definitely.
Yeah, but that's how my mind is much more like, one thing at a time. But you're more capable of, and you've got a bigger team around you. So
spin many plates. But the thing that we both come across and is always unavoidable is it doesn't matter how the best laid plans for any shoot, be it corporate, commercial or otherwise, there always seems to be some curveball or hurdle that you have to overcome at the last minute. And I think sharing those and the ways and the means that we use to get around them, that's where there's a bit of value there, isn't there? Because I know we've worked on a lot of shoots together where you have a perfect plan, everything's laid out, what could possibly go wrong scenario, and you get there and it's just a complete U-turn on the plan and what you had in mind, Yeah,
and it's like it's there's so many things that come into play on that. It's human error.
Yeah.
Like, nobody can, get everything right all the time. And then there's just like complete anomalies. Isn't there? Do you remember when we was doing a commercial for one of your clients?
Yes.
And there was a lot had gone into it, a lot of pre-production. We had actors with the house was all hired, had all the crew there and everything. It was a great time.
This,
But then the main actress, she walks in, doesn't she? And she walks up to us and we're, oh, great to see you. Oh, brilliant. And she says, do you think this will be a problem? And she goes like this with her eyes, and she's got like the most bloodshot eyes you've ever seen in your life. Look like someone's got their finger.
You're gonna give me nightmares. You're gonna give me nightmares.
And I was like, I think that is gonna be
that might show on the camera. Yeah, I mean, for context on that one, we had arrived literally the day before, hadn't we? And we were rigging this one scene from early afternoon the day before into the evening, and then a little bit of touch up in the morning and practice and
because
the actress,
there's never enough time,
never enough time, and I mean, in that scenario we were shooting in a kitchen space, high ceiling, open plan, cottage style kitchen space, and we knew that getting effective lighting in there was going to be difficult because you're dealing with concave ceilings, you're dealing with lots of different factors. And we knew we wanted to also shoot towards two small windows, didn't we? And we're obviously then completely, at the thing for the weather and the lighting outside. So we'd got in there early, and you're completely right. We spent a long time practicing, doing the setups, trialing different lighting setups, different things to make the equipment that we have work as hard as it can. And you're right, about half an hour before we begin filming, the actress arrived, bless her, and she'd had, I don't know, a sty, or she'd been...
No, it wasn't a sty. It was, she didn't even know. She just woke up. It was like she had full-on hay fever. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then, mad dash for eye drops and God knows what to try and fix it. I think we did a bit of it in post in the end, didn't we? Because it was
that's what we said. We said, look, just... you only notice it with the close-ups, and I just got rid of him in post, and it looked fine in the end. But it's just one of them things you think, oh gosh, how does that happen?
Yeah, what else could possibly go wrong? Yeah, I remember that one because we had one of the things in that same kitchen space we wanted to record audio, didn't we? And we knew that we'd need to dead the sound down, get some heavy curtains up, get some stuff because just that the echo, if you remember, the reverberation in that room was crazy. And I remember our sound guy. He was having a morning as well. And he arrived, 20 minutes late. And we said, look, don't worry about it. We've got contingency in the plan. Chloe, the producer, running around, said, don't worry about it. We've got contingency. We've got a bit of time for this one. Just get your stuff rigged up. He said, I've also left the sheets in the office. That That was a challenging one, definitely.
But at the same time, because I think what broke the camel's back was you told him he's got to bring all the sheets, but then also he's got to stop off from the shop and get fruit for the fruit bowl.
Yes.
And you said specifically, I want some nice peaches.
You know what? That was the thing. That was the thing that upset me the most.
Yeah.
It wasn't the eye, and it wasn't the fact that we were going to have really, really janky audio because we're going to have to deal with echo reverberation. It was the fact that all I asked for was a bowl of
nice,
bloody
juicy,
peaches,
round peaches,
because the client's logo was a peach colour. It was the perfect match to just a punnet of peaches, right? And I thought, right, go and on your way through, stop off at the supermarket, grab me a load of fresh peaches, and we'll put them in the bowl, have them off to one side. You know, that's a nice little reference to the client's thing. And he arrived with these. What are they called? The donut peaches?
Yeah,
the just flat peaches. Yeah. And they look like absolute shite.
So that was just your face when he said he didn't pretty. Sorry, I forgot all the blankets. You and then he goes, and the peaches. I got the peaches, but they're all flat.
Yes. And I mean, it sounds really melodramatic, but when you've been planning something and you're so sniper specific for such a long time, to then find yourself in that situation was a bit of a living nightmare. But we got through it.
Yeah, we did. That's how things go, isn't it? So you just got to work around it and not get too distracted. So yeah, but it was a good shoot though. I enjoyed that one. Yeah,
it went well. I think one of my memorable ones for you, we were shooting for an exercise brand. What would you call it? They specialise in.
Who are you talking about?
Producing. Well, without naming names, they specialise in producing equipment to age or workout.
Oh, okay.
Sort of a Peloton type rival.
Yeah.
And we were shooting in that space in London that was rented out. And I always find it interesting when you go to book these spaces online because they always use a super wide angle lens, don't they? Yeah. When they're photographing the spaces, and you book this location, you think, yeah, look, tons of space in there. We're going to make it work. And I always find it interesting when you show up, if you don't have the advantage of a site visit ahead of time, trying to make that work. And I distinctly remember, because I think the people that rented the property also lived in the property. And I distinctly remember clambering out of one of their kids' bedroom windows with a floodlight to try and rig it to shine through some of the ceiling lights.
Yeah, there's a skylight.
Because you wanted, a skylight. Because you wanted a nice halo on them, and just because the nature of the space was so tight, we just weren't able to get that light in there. And that was an interesting one.
But it worked. The shot was great with the light coming through there. I'm actually surprised they let us get on the roof, though. Actually, I was thinking that.
I was surprised because I made it out of the bedroom window, and it was a small kind of proper London Victorian window that slides up, and you kind of creep out.
You have climbed out of a few bedroom windows.
I've climbed out a bit of practice. Never with a light on my back though. But the thing that really freaked me out was as soon as you step down onto the roof, you're just onto this glass, this thick piece of glass, because it wasn't like a traditional skylight. It ran pretty much the length of the room. So I'm just kind of coming out of this room. Yeah. I'm hearing this creak, and I look down. I just see you looking up at me. And I'm thinking, this is, the situations you get me in. But yeah, you're right. The shot looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it looked good. Yeah, definitely. But and the thing with the corporate stuff, when you come and help me, is it's just like, you just don't know what's going to happen, do you? Do you know what I mean? It's like the curveballs. Because I will do a lot of prep and a lot of planning in advance. So I'll work out exactly what the room's like, where the light is, where my cameras are going.
Absolutely.
And if I'm doing a stream, I'm like connecting to do a map connected to all the cameras, all the mics, so I know everything that's going to happen. And then you're there and you're just getting set up. Someone walks in and goes, "Oh, by the way, we're having screens in there today, so we've got someone being piped in," and it's just like, dang, it's like,
it's these like tiny considerations that the client, I think, just assumes won't be a problem because you're there with your cameras filming. But for you, when you're executing a real finite sniper plan, it's like your world's just ended.
But I will say, in their defense, in the client's defense, often that is probably a lot of it down to me, because I'm quite sort of like simple in my thought process. Right. I don't like to sort of like ask like a whole myriad of questions or what have you.
Keep it simple.
Or I like just to keep things super simple. So, but then I do my planning based around what I'm imagining is going to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like, oh,
you've got to start somewhere though, don't you? And I mean, you know, this is the thing. It's like, and I mean, with that side of your business, it's not like live streaming or working in that corporate environment is alien to you anyway.
Yeah.
But it is amazing how, because I think the thing that people don't always appreciate is the level of setup that's required, you know, to execute a decent shoot. And by all means, you can go in with quite a lightweight rig and quite and achieve some fantastic results.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with a live stream, you can't get away from the fact that you need a certain amount of technology and it all needs to talk to each other. Everything needs to be set up correctly. Otherwise, a live stream looks rubbish. And we've all seen live streams online, you know, various conferences or whatever, and it's just unwatchable, you know, because that planning hasn't gone into it. And so when you're dealing with something so finite and you want to execute it perfectly, having something like someone joining via a Zoom link or a couple of screens throwing different images that the people are going to be referencing, that's like start again territory, isn't it, with your planning?
Yeah, it can be, and it's that kind of under pressure as well. But you have to make a change when the clock's ticking, or you've got people looking at you,
watching you. Yeah,
it's that, and things can happen in, like, for example, I was doing a live stream not so long ago. If anybody can hear anything, the window cleaner's just turned up. And
is that what that is?
Yeah.
All right, then.
And it's my guy Simon's scrubbing the old,
doing his thing, getting the windows clean. Yeah, no, I think that is a good thing. That is an important point about the live stream side, is because you're often setting up in a boardroom or a meeting space that you've got available maybe an hour or two before you go live.
There's a real sticky bit on the window. Is
some bird crap on the window. He's having to really go to town on it. Yeah. Simon, is it? Should we get him in? See what his opinion is. Yeah, I think that is a good point, because it's dealing with those changes in a timely manner. You know, you've got in a pressurized situation. The client's watching you.
Yeah.
You've got limited equipment because you've had to bring it in. You know, and you suddenly got to adapt and change. And I think that's something that comes with time, that you become less phased when these issues arise. But it is something that you can't get away from. You're always going to have them, you know.
I was doing a stream a while ago, and so the stream started. From what I was concerned, everything was looking good.
Yeah.
And then one of the team said, but they can't hear what they're like miming to me. That there's no audio.
Right.
One of their team was listening to it, watching, you know, remotely.
Yeah.
And they were playing, can't hear nothing. I'm like, whoa, I'm trying to troubleshoot this.
Yeah, you got
also run the stream at the same time.
Yeah,
was just on my own. And but it turned out that person hadn't had their volume up. So their volume
that's
down.
the worst.
I'm like,
so you're looking at all
this person.
You're looking
I want to see them now. You know.
Yeah, you're looking at your waveforms and everything, and it's all saying it's fine, but they're saying they can't hear it.
Yeah. It's just things like that. But when or I've had like there's a problem with the mic, and it's like, oh dang, here we go. So now you got to work out, is that do I actually need to change the mic on the person on stage live now, or is there something else happening?
Which is the worst situation, because the last thing you want to do, if you've got someone in the flow presenting or talking, answering questions, the last thing you want to do is start running up on stage and fanning around with their mic.
That's why I like it when on the larger jobs when you're with me as well, because I guess you feel that you're incredibly conscientious, and I know when you're there you bear the same responsibility that I do on my behalf.
Absolutely.
But there must be there's a little, you definitely have a bit of a slightly more detached mindset from it, where you can think a bit clearer. So when something like that random does happen, you're quite quick to go, okay, like you need to adjust the setting on Zoom. Like I think we were patched in, weren't we, with a client Zoom, and I think they had someone or some setting hadn't been adjusted, so there was a mute problem.
Yeah.
So someone was speaking in German somewhere around the world, and other participants were hearing that.
That's right. The chat was going absolutely mental halfway through this live stream, saying that they could hear a German person's phone call. And it just turned out one of the participants that was watching the stream had unmuted themselves and decided to have a phone call. But it is those moments. It is really nice to have people on set that are attached enough to the production to want it to be a success. Yeah. But don't feel that the pressure of the clients watching over your shoulder so much. So they have a bit more critical thinking. It's definitely Yeah, I mean, on our shoots, it's having that. It's having that ability to have another way of looking at problem solving and saying, well, you could do it like this, but a simpler option might be this, and it might achieve the same result or a better result. And I think having a good team around you that can think critically in a stressful, time-sensitive manner, I think is really, really important.
Yeah,
and is often the difference between screwing up a shoot or actually improving on the original brief. And that's the fine line that we tread quite often, I think.
Yeah,
you know, because you want to produce the best. You don't go out hoping to do a mediocre production. You always want to do better than the last piece of work you've done. And I think having that ability to overcome those issues is really, really important. But that, for me, is around the team that you have around you and having those people that can think in a very, very stressful situation very critically and actually pinpoint those things that need to change. You know, I mean, I think when the audio guy showed up to my shoot without the sheets, you know, I think it was you that was able to come up with a plan B. I think we ended up just doing
the beds.
Just go home. Yeah, that was it, wasn't it?
Strip the bed
You went round the house and you found all the bedding.
Yeah, come in,
we started rigging up.
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh my God, it looked like some kind of crazy laundrette by the time we were done. But the point is, we got through the shoot, we hit the deadlines, and the client was happy with the end product. It was a success, you know. But it was just having that ability, because I remember I thought, well, this is it then. I'm just going to go home because, you know, not only were my peaches not right, but we also didn't have the right sheets. And the actress, bless her, had some sort of situation with her face where her eye had gone bright red.
She's all right now, by the way. She made it
recovery.
through.
Yeah, she made it through. She made it through. We're very pleased about that. You know, but yeah, it's having those people that you can lean on that go, right, here's a plan of action. And I mean, in that moment, I didn't think, let's go and search the bedrooms. But you came back with a load of big sheets, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why, like, on, you know, you see it in movie productions, etc., or any kind of production, they have a team of people that they know what, you know, they trust each other.
Absolutely.
They know each other's capabilities and they got each other's backs.
They
so
can fall back on it 100%. It's needed. I mean, you know, I think one of the more ambitious ads that we made was for that landlord company that supports landlords with renting and buy-to-lets.
Yeah, you went for all the bells and whistles on that one.
We went for everything. I mean, we wanted to show the juxtaposition between a landlord that engages their service and a landlord that doesn't, a landlord that runs everything themselves, right? And so we had the brief was, we want to see a landlord, a young guy, he's sitting down to dinner, he's about to enjoy his food, and then just as he goes to tuck into his meal, everything goes wrong. The food kind of whisks off the table, bills start flying in, his phone's ringing, his other phone's going, you know, and it's kind of mayhem and pandemonium. And it's that age-old thing of thinking, that would look really cool, let's do that. And the client loved it, and they were like, right, how are we going to make this happen? And it was, and I mean, you know, in hindsight, which is a beautiful thing, we could have probably CGI'd quite a lot of it and it would look really effective, but we wanted to do it old school style. We wanted everything visually to be there. So, you know, I thought the most difficult thing we were going to have to come across was getting a camera to fly seamlessly over a long dining room table, you know, uninterrupted. But it turned out we had invisible fishing wire pulling the drink and the plate, and that all had to go at the same time, at the same speed. That all and then had to be caught by various things so we didn't smash up the place and make a mess. And then as all of his food's getting taken and his bib gets whisked out from his neck, we then start seeing all the bills piling in. And we thought, well, how are we going to do that? You know, so we mocked up loads of bills and we printed them on this really fine paper that would kind of flutter and float. And we were doing tests and we just couldn't get this stuff to rain down properly. Just visually didn't look good. It was kind of coming down in lumps. And we realised the only way to do it was to use a leaf blower, you know, and that would inject a bit of power into the room and it would get them all fluttering and it would catch them and it would fly back up.
This is where I come in.
This is where you came in. And, you know, so we had all these things and we realised that we needed to probably to triple the size of the team to be able to puppet all of these things. But we were in a confined, tight space. I mean, it was quite a decent sized kitchen space, but once you put in, you know, a camera track and you got your dolly in there, you've got everything else, you know, space comes at a premium. So we ended up having to do it with like 3 people. I think at one point you had a fishing rod for the bill that lands in the guy's hands. I
had the leaf blower between my legs, which didn't look great.
Throwing paper on the pile.
So one hand, leaf blower between the legs, one hand full of paper, and then I think it was a boom pole with some fish, with some fishing what do you call it? Cable?
Fishing wire.
Fishing wire.
Yeah, some invisible
with
wire.
the actual, the main note, which I think was I think that was one responsibility too far really for anyone.
You draw the line at the leaf blower.
Because it's that, to get it just to come right and low, right and down, and the guy's just going to go and
grab
catch
that
it
one.
and,
Well, I mean, the best bit about it was you had to do all of that, but you also had to be off. You had to be kind of off camera. And because we started with this nice wide looking down this long table as this guy kind of takes his seat and gets his, I think he had a bolognese or something, he's tucking in, he's got a glass of red wine, he's ready to go. You're there kind of tucked to the corner of the kitchen by the fridge, kind of cradling this leaf blower, all this paperwork, your pole. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous to be honest with you. But I think it took 3 takes and we nailed it, and the client absolutely loved it. And visually, it was brilliant. For 10 seconds of video, a lot happens, and then we just reversed it, and with a little bit of editing magic, everything whisks back onto the table, and because the guy's taken out the service, he's able to enjoy his dinner in peace. But it visually represented it. It was a bit of fun as well. It was never meant to be a super serious shoot, but it was a bit of fun for the end content, and it worked. But you have to pull some ridiculous things out of some crazy hats to make it work. I mean, you with the leaf blower between your legs and paperwork going everywhere and trying to get this other letter in the right time, and the guy snatching it down. Yeah. And on top of that, we had complicated camera movements because the camera had to track down the table and focus and pull up at the right time. Yeah. And again, with a skeleton crew, that's hard to execute. But that sort of thing gets my blood flowing. That's what I like doing. I enjoy the challenge of saying, right, everything's stacked against us to get this shoot done effectively. But, we could play it really safe and do something quite bland and execute it really well, and we'd all be in time for our supper and it wouldn't be an issue. But no, actually, let's push the boat out and let's push the limits a bit and see what we can do. Yeah. And I think it was maybe 3 weeks after we shot that, I met a guy who's just phenomenal at CGI, like really, really good at creating some amazing CGI scenes or bringing CGI effects into, film content. I was like, where were you 3 weeks ago, man?
You would have come in handy.
You would have come in handy. All these bloody invisible wires. And I think the thing for me on that shoot was the reset time. If everything wasn't perfect, it all had to start again. Bologneses had to be remade and glass of wine refilled and paperwork.
The bolognese was not looking good by the end of it.
It was getting a bit shabby. It was getting a bit shabby towards
I was hungry,
back end of the shoot.
No, actually, one thing I remember that is when you went, any of your ones, when you have a lunch break for everybody, it's a damn good lunch.
You got to look after the crew.
That was top. That was.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely my. It's like one of my biggest. My biggest requirements for any shoot is that the crew have to be looked after and they have to be well fed. And I think anybody that's in the industry will agree, all too often you feel like you're the first to arrive, the last to leave. You get no breaks. You're lucky if you get a coffee in, and towards the end of the day, you are absolutely running on fumes, because if you're good at what you do, you give it 110%.
And like we said earlier on, there's never enough time, is there? The clock's always ticking.
It's a stressful environment 9 times out of 10, and any... I mean, maybe this is a controversial thing, but I think any production company that's worth its salt will always try and push the boundary of what they're capable of doing to get the best quality content for their client. And then that really has a direct impact on the people on set, because they are working against the clock. Things are stacked against them. Absolutely. They need to be able to have half an hour minimum downtime, a proper lunch laid on, and just be able to reset. And I always find it's in those lunch breaks that the best ideas get shared. And actually, it makes the second half of the shoot fly through, because you've actually sat down. Again, it's about that critical thinking piece. People have had that headspace to sit down and actually assess what's going on, problem solve, and say, actually, if we swap this around, if we put that on, it would speed things up massively. And then that way you can bring that to the table, discuss it over some lunch, go back in, fresh face, and you can absolutely smash it. I've been on so many shoots where you don't get that. Either the clients may be running it and they're not really used to producing for film sets or for any kind of video.
That can be tricky, especially if that's why I quite like dealing with corporations and marketing teams rather than business owners. Yeah, because business 100%. Owners can get very invested in it because they've got a lot riding in it.
Absolutely,
they've got a lot of financial interest.
It's exciting as well.
It's exciting. They've got something in their head or whatever. They want to be part of this process, but it can often be a bit of a hindrance, and I prefer that to have that slightly dispassionate.
Yeah. I think you
connection.
need a bit of formatting to it, you know. And I think also all too often the client will always try and push the format and will try and push for more content because there's that. It's kind of that kid in a candy shop situation. You think, well, I've got the crew here, we've got the lighting. Let's just grab an extra interview with so and so. Let's just add some more bits to the agenda. And you find yourself working from 7, 8 o'clock in the morning all the way through till kind of early evening, and you do not stop, and you are dealing with a potentially quite a highly stressful situation where you have to be on your A game because it's very technically minded. And I think if you can't give your crew a break in that situation, then you're never going to produce a top quality piece of media. It's allowing people that headspace is so important, even if it's a coffee and a sandwich for 10, 15 minutes, it's so important to do that. So that's one of the things I always push for is a bang up lunch on
and
it's important.
That's spot on. Really good.
I'm glad you think so. I'll tell Chloe, she'll be very pleased. She puts a lot of effort into those.
Dang, that's good. But I mean, like what we were talking about, kind of, I was thinking about the efficiency and doing the same thing, where you're saying we always we want to do our best and we want to improve things all the time. Yeah. So I kind of like, I really try to keep to myself a very repeatable process. Right. Yeah. Because I know I get myself a setup. I think, this works great. This works great. I know what I'm doing each and every time. So thinking, everything is more instinctual and it's all ready to go. But then something inside me always says, but what if we maybe added this in, this bit of kit, so it will do this, that, and that, which will improve things. But you know what I mean? It's kind of, sometimes it can be a bit counterproductive.
It's that creative devil sitting on your shoulder that's always looking for the next thing.
But also, is it like a retail devil as well? What is it, like a consumerism?
It's always
as well?
there though, isn't it? It's always there. It's that, what if we change the lenses around? What if we didn't go with this setup? I mean, I think the thing is, it's striving to always improve. And I think with the line of work you're in, with the side of the business you're in, your clients often are a corporate client, and they're often buying in something that they've seen produced for another client, and they say, Pete, we love this, we need some of this for ourselves, especially with the live streaming stuff. But that doesn't mean that you're not prepared to go in and look for ways of always improving your service, because I think it's that age-old thing of when you become completely complicit, that's when you really start winding backwards, And so you've always got to have that drive to improve and change things, and I don't know why, but it's that creative devil that always seems to crop up right when you're really strapped for time. It goes, but if you stuck a 50mm on that lens and you move that light over there, it would be so much better. And you're then in that kind of dichotomy. What do you do? Do you do it, risk it? Do you stick with your format? I think you've got to take a bit of a risk with these things. Yeah, and I think sound is a big one to always try and sort of tweak and improve or what have you, isn't it? Definitely, definitely. But it's like there's something to be said for acknowledging a sweet spot and thinking, I've got it going good here. Everyone's happy with the balance. Everyone's happy with the output, with the content. It's easy for me now. I'm very familiar with how I've got things set up. Just leave it. Just keep rolling. Just keep rolling. Let it do its thing. And just, and not keep moving things around too much. Unnecessarily. Which, because your life will be so much easier. Yeah. No, I think that's completely fair. I think, it's that balance of time, expectation, and then self-improvement, isn't it? I think if you've got the headspace, if you're going in, you're shooting up the day before, you're setting up the day before, and, it's a simple, I mean, we did it recently on one of your shoots. We had the advice, because it was such an early start the next morning for the live stream, we were able to get the space the day before. And I think it's in that environment where you really can listen to that little creative devil on your shoulder saying, try this, try that. And you can really play around with that format and actually just improve on what you're building on. But you're completely right. There always needs to be that time you go, no, I'm happy with what I've got. Let's lock it in and let's just do this properly. But that shoot was a particularly complicated one, wasn't it? Because they had so many people. Yeah, there are a lot of people, and so you're starting to run out of mics and different ways to produce the sound, record it. But it was an all day one, wasn't it? So it was like one after the other, and there was no gap between any of no official gap between the shots apart from the lunch. And a couple of comfort breaks, but we were doing a changeover from stage to the next, so quickly take off the mics, and we was
we sort of worked out a way just to sort of like use lanyards for mics, didn't we? So people weren't getting tangled up with cables, and we could literally just chuck it over their neck and just.
And this is the thing, you know, you're dealing with people that on the whole aren't media trained. You know, they're going to feel a bit uncomfortable anyway. They're hyper aware that they're being filmed. They know it's being live streamed to however many people are online, and then they've got a room full of people in front of them, and they've been asked to come and speak about an area of expertise or whatever it might be. And so there's a bit of reputational sort of thing on the line there as well, whereby they, you know, so you're always hyper aware that you can't expect a lot from them. You know, you've got to make it super, super easy. And you're right. You know, we were having to deal with changeovers that had like a 3-minute gap between them. And then the live stream would come back up again, you know, holding card, and then go back up. And we needed to find a format that would work and that would allow quick changeovers for the audio. But then also the other kind of curveball that came in with that shoot was just the volume of people that were going to be on stage at one time. I mean, I think they had like 6 or 7 people on stage at one time, plus a presenter at a podium. And I mean, you know, realistically, you're normally running, what, a 3-4 camera shoot? And you set your shots up locked off, you know, because 9 times out of 10, these live streams are kind of a one-on-one interview style. It was making that equipment work to cover that many people. And we realized, you know, we were going to have to obviously have a manned camera that could just get those really tidy shots of whoever was talking at that moment. And but it was all kind of happening on the fly the night before. And we didn't have a tally system, did we? So we were thinking, right, how can we create an efficient tally system that will work so that you know when we've cut to you or whoever's manning the camera. And it was just kind of adding in these extra stages. I think we ended up just screen sharing like a Google Meet, didn't we? You
because
know, red and green.
We have tried using official tally systems or the ones based with networks.
Absolutely.
So you get to the network and then you use your iPhone, and then it will hook up to the switcher on the same network. And then, you know, that'll work seamlessly when you go to, you know, in preview mode, you'll get the notification.
Yeah.
But when you're in, it's like the business had something to do with their firewall or something like that.
Black hole of Calcutta. Yeah, nothing would talk to anything.
It doesn't work like that in those scenarios. So yeah, you come up with the idea of, was it WhatsApp? No, it was Google.
It was a Google Meet, I think, or Teams or something. And I just literally, it was just a screen share of my phone. My phone had a green square, a red square, whatever on the pictures. And as I would cut to you, I'd just swipe across. I mean, there's an extra bit to have to worry about. But it meant then that I wasn't cutting to any kind of, you know, janky camera movements or whatever. And it worked. Yeah. And this is the crucial thing, you know, you show up, you make a plan, you think, right, this is going to work. And then you realise when the client comes and says, oh, no, I want to have a Q&A of at least 8 people on stage. And you think, right, okay, how many mics do we have? How are we going to cover this with the visuals? And you make a plan of action and you execute it, you know, and it worked. The live stream was brilliant. The client was really happy. It was great feedback online. You know, but it's in that moment, it's that sort of sink or swim moment, isn't it? You think, right, what are we going to do?
Yeah. But the problem solving element of the job is good though. It's fun. It keeps you on your toes, isn't it?
100%.
Because you're walking into situations where just like, I don't know what's going to happen here. And I'm expecting things to, you know, to crop up or what have you. They always do. But, you know, even though they get the blood pumping, is a good thing, I think.
100%. Yeah. 100%. You know, it's that old thing of, you know, prepare to fail or fail to prepare. But even with that in place, with filming, there's always something. You know, there's always something, be it the environment you're in, be it the people you're working with, or sometimes the equipment just throws a wobbly. Just, you know, I mean, I was on a shoot not long ago, you were helping me with it, and we were just conducting interviews. You know, talking head interviews. Really simple. It's for a charity. Charity, for a funding charity. And they, you know, they do some fantastic work in the community. We're really excited to work with them. But you know, we had to evidence what they do, and so we said, well, let's get some of these stakeholders in. Let's get the people in that you've helped. Let's talk to the people behind the charity and find out what makes you guys tick. And so that was the plan that we executed, and the end product was really nice. But we were there, we had the environment, we set up, we were shooting, all going really well, lighting, everything, simple setup. We weren't trying to loot. There was no leaf blowers or kind of, you know, other TVs going or anything like that. But a simple person in chair shoot. What could go wrong, you know? And we got halfway through, and I realised on the output, on the viewer, there was this kind of weird green line that was appearing. And so the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, we've got a dodgy connection, you know, because that's the most likely. Pull the card, plug it in, and it turns out it's on the raw footage, it's on the hard copy. there was some sort of issue with the camera, with the sensor.
We won't name the camera brand.
We won't name them, no, but rhymes with no. But they had a sensor issue, and it was a real freaky moment because we had been filming all day. You know, your output viewer on that shoot was quite small, and we only noticed it towards the end of the day. And you think, right, okay, we've had some vaguely high profile people for the charity in these chairs. Do we have green lines appearing on people's faces? You know, because if it's in the background, you can obviously edit it out relatively easily. But yeah, and then we reached out to the camera manufacturer and said, look, this is really weird. We've had this issue. And they just, the most ridiculous response, they said, oh, yeah, we're fully aware of it. It happens all the time. Send the camera in and we'll fix it and send it back free of charge. And you're just thinking, why are you waiting for that to go wrong to then rectify the issue? You know, that shoot could be worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. And you're going to wait till I get green lines all over my footage before you reach out to me and say, "Oh, let's get this repaired."
Yeah,
but it's one of those sorts of things. You can't plan for that. You know, you've always got to check your kit, look after your kit, do the stuff that everybody does. You know, always send your kit off, have it refurbed, send back. You know, clean, whatever. But that was an inherent issue with that camera brand that I was completely unaware of until you directly search for it. You start diving into the forums and find out, you know, loads of people have had this issue. And now you get this camera back. Do you trust it? Do you trust that brand? I mean, your confidence is knocked there, you know, because the last thing you want is for your tools to be letting you down. So again, that's another massive curveball that at some point you're going to find yourself having to deal with. You know, there's always going to be those times where you get an error message or something go wrong.
Yeah, I had I use some mics that they record on the body, and but that one of the mics, I've got loads of them, but one of them just it's problematic. It won't mount properly, and it loses. It just the file appears just to stop, and so now I always use a redundancy anyway. But I'm always, I don't know, in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking I just don't trust them anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like it's there, and it's like, oh dang.
That is my biggest fear. I think on set is getting back. Plugging your kit in and seeing no files. That's just, I mean, you know, there's things you can do to avoid it, but that is kind of like that nightmare situation. You wake up in cold sweats thinking it's happening. Thankfully it's a dream, but I would, as soon as my kit was dropping files, I mean, how, you know, that's, you just couldn't trust it at that point, could you?
Yeah, no, I haven't had that before, but the audio is something that you have to be a bit more careful of. There seems to be more room for things to go wrong with the audio than the visual often. I think
it's one of those, audio is one of those weird things that is all too often overlooked as a priority and all too often overlooked from a monitoring point of view. I mean, if you're filming, you're always looking at your preview window, you're always looking at in your eyepiece, you're always monitoring what the camera's doing and ensuring nothing has changed with your setup. You're always checking your lighting. It's very visual, but with audio, you have to have someone there monitoring all the time because the weirdest things can happen to audio. And there is no point in shooting a video with poor audio. I mean, we're lucky now, aren't we, with the advancements of AI and other tools that you can tidy things up and hide a lot of sins. But, you know, you should always be aiming to capture that perfect quality audio on set. And I think I've been on so many sets, and I'm sure you have as well, where the audio technician or whoever it might be is just completely overlooked and sidelined all the time, you know, and it makes it really hard for them to do their job effectively. And I think the production massively suffers when that happens, you know.
I recorded an event. It's like in one of those kind of auditorium type of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Really nice. And the audio guy was lovely and really, really helpful. You know, sometimes
hit and miss. Yeah,
but but he's like, yeah, sure, just give me a recorder and I'll sort that out for you.
Brilliant.
I can't remember if he used his kit, and I was like, yeah, I'd appreciate that. And he said,
so you're plugging into like his mixer.
Yeah,
at this point.
No, I think he said, no, I'll record it for you and I'll send you the file for.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then something inside me also just said, just get a mic on this person, separate,
just
mic
in case, right?
You know, just in case. I thought I won't need it or what have you. But yeah, so then I received his link, and lo and behold, it was just like, just this like, just completely
blown out,
completely, inaudible. Yeah, you couldn't hear it. Just like sounded more like interference. It was so loud.
I think the worst. I completely sympathise with that. The worst one I ever had when it came to really poor audio was right when I was starting out. I can't even remember the client's name now, but it was to film a conference. And they were really excited about this conference. It was like their first big conference. And they were like, yeah, we want you to film all the speakers. We need. And I had, at that time, some little mixer, recorder, Zoom type thing. And I did exactly that. I took a feed out of the wireless mics, and I plugged my thing in, and I audio checked it, to be fair, and everything that was coming through was really nice. The levels were good. And I just left that plugged into the wall, sat there in this like broom cupboard where all of the stuff kind of comes in, just churning away all day. And I had like 128 gig in there, and it was small audio file kind of stuff. And I thought that'll be fine, brilliant, And so we're running around with cameras. It was me and a mate at the time. I think I met him in college, and we were covering the shoot. And we were, doing our absolute best. We had a couple of cameras up on a gantry that were filming for like safety. We thought, all right, we've got our safety check, and running around, getting interviews with people, doing all of that. And it came to the end of the day, and we were being hurried to pack up because the guys need to get in and start striking down the hall and all of that. And so we're getting our cameras down, and we're packing everything away. And I thought, got to grab the audio. So I went into this broom cupboard, and lo and behold, there it is, still chugging away recording. And I don't know why, but I pulled the power cable out without powering down the unit properly. Completely corrupted the file. Lost all the audio for that day. The thing went black, and I thought, I shouldn't have done that. I'll plug it back in, plugged it back in, powered it back up, took a minute, no files on card. Damn. Because you had to end the recording for it to then save and then process the file. Yeah. So I just lost it. Luckily, we were able to convince the client that they'd be better off with a highlights reel than a full conference video, because we said, who's going to watch it? And they went, yeah, you're right, actually. Let's do a highlights reel. So we did a highlights reel with the interviews we gathered, bit of B-roll. And to be honest with you, genuinely, I'm not just saying this, probably ended up with a far more compelling bit of video content than if we just produced a 3-hour-long conference. Yeah. But that was, I was really pleased the client agreed to that.
That is a really good point, because I used to do this all the time, flag up my own mistakes or things that I wasn't overly happy with or could have come out better, but I've learned just make it as good. If something's gone not quite right, just find a way around it, make it as good as you can. The client isn't going to, they're only going to know about it if you tell them a lot of the time. Yeah. And then you're just putting things in their head, which are, but just let them watch it. And if they think, oh, I'm not quite happy with that, then which doesn't really happen.
No.
Not, 9 times out of 10, once now you've been, if you've got enough experience, then, you shouldn't really be giving someone some work and they go, oh, I'm not happy with this. You very rarely get many comments these days, do you?
No, you don't. And this is it. You know what you're doing, and I think the thing is we hold ourselves to a certain level of expectation that the client doesn't, and it should be that way. The client should have a level of expectation, absolutely. Yeah. And you should be taking it 10, 20, 30% higher. And if you fall short of that, you just need to be hyper aware of at what point do we get the client involved to tell them that the plans change slightly, or the original brief might be, we might have to flex things. And at what point do you say, no, actually, I'm absolutely nailing this brief, but I'm just not happy with my performance. But if I communicate that to the client, it's going to seem like a big issue where it isn't, Yeah. I think it's always that kind of that thing of at what point do you get the client involved, and at what point do you just problem solve and overcome the issue. And I think it's always, for me, absolutely go to the client and be honest with them. But in the right situation.
Exactly, yeah. Because there's so many things that are just they're to you. You're like, oh, I wish I'd have done that. Oh, I wish that could be better first. But like I say, it's you, and don't put that on into their head, because it's probably not important to them at all.
No, and you just start knocking that confidence. And I think that will always affect the media when they do that first draft review. They'll be thinking, well, I know that this didn't go right, and you don't want to do that. So because ultimately it's about impact, and if the client watches that first draft and they go, "That's brilliant, I love that," then generally speaking, their target audience, the people that's been made for, are going to feel the same way when they access it. They're not going to sit there. The customer or consumer is not going to sit there and watch a video and go, "Oh, I bet she showed up with a red eye on that shoot." That's not what they're looking at. They're looking at the product and the service, and they're going, "Oh, that's a great offer. Let's go for that." And you've just always got to keep that in mind. Why are you doing this, and what you're producing for?
I think that's probably a good point in terms of why sometimes business owners aren't the best people to be really closely involved in the making of their commercial, their film, because they often can have a slightly different expectation or perception of what's going to work than a marketing team, or or someone who is just a viewer or a customer.
People with experience that know what they're doing. This is it. In many ways, there's nothing worse than a client that thinks that they can direct and that they've got, because they consume so much media, TV, film, and otherwise, they think they know what will sell a product, and they think they know also how to go about executing that production. It can be very frustrating. And I think the thing that we come across quite often, it's not so much clients dictating to us how to do our job, because I think they know at a certain level you are getting an agency involved for a reason. It's because you want their expertise. But it's actually the opposite. It's the client getting really excited about the fact that you're involved and pushing you to talk about all the different aspects of their business or their service, make sure all the USPs are in there, and you think, well, hang on a minute, less is always more with this kind of media. And I think it's the same for live streaming. I think it's the same for any kind of media that you produce. You're trying to whet people's appetite, give them a little bit of information and get them to engage with you. Your clients that are pushing out live streams, it's information. They want it to be kind of content rich, but they're also looking for people to engage them and look for more material.
And like you say, less is more.
Always.
It's like graphic design. It's like, you could have a customer, for example, who's like, they've got a very small space to work with, and they want to get all their services, and they want to get all their information and some strap lines and this and some offers and stuff. And it's like, okay, that's a big mess of information that nobody can see. Nobody can see it, and less is more. Just like you say, grab the attention, say, hi, we're here, pique the interest, and let people investigate you more and learn more.
I mean, I think from an advertising point of view, some of the best adverts out there are the ones that make you think and just grab your attention. They evoke an emotion. I mean, that's something that everyone says, isn't it? But it's not the ones that sit there and dictate to you when was the company founded and all of these kind of things, because people don't really care. I think having a piece of effective media is a crucial thing, and if you're getting people involved to execute that media, listen to their opinion. If you're getting an agency or an individual involved, don't turn around and start dictating to them how to do the job, because you would never do it. I'd never get a plumber in and start telling them how to do their job because I've watched a couple of DIY videos.
It'd be water everywhere.
It'd be awful. Can you imagine? You just think, well, actually, there's a reason why I've got these people in.
Yeah.
And I think we're very lucky with our clients. A lot of them, most of them, are very receptive to ideas, and they appreciate that video is a very powerful medium, but it's not a one-stop shop. You need to, if you've got a lot to talk about, you need to think about spreading it across, different formats, different things, just to get the message over there.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I really like about when we work together is, and it kind of encapsulates everything, is we always leave a shoot and you always say, right, what would you do differently? If you could do this shoot again today, what would you do differently?
Yeah,
it's an opportunity to learn. Yeah. And I think it's a really nice, refreshing way of actually approaching filming, because you can get kind of overwhelmed with it all. And actually having that discussion on the drive home or, over a beer afterwards or whatever, of saying, right, if we were to do this again, what would you do differently? It's such a good opportunity to learn. I think that's one of the best tools that I've certainly utilized over the years, of just that opportunity, giving yourself the opportunity to do bite-sized learning, reflective learning. I think is so important.
Yeah. And you'll know that when you've done that, and if you make the same mistake again, there's no worse feeling, is it? Why have you done that again? You know not to do that, but pressure, and sometimes, or if you've gone straight very close from one job to another, sometimes there's a couple of settings in there that you haven't quite, adjusted back or what have you. So little things like that. But you're right. It's so good to do that and just think, okay, what have we learned? How can we apply that and make life easier on the next one? Yeah,
you show clear progression, and that's the thing. That is the crucial thing, isn't it? That allows you to go onto a shoot and deal with these sorts of curveballs and not have them affect the shoot, not have them affect the schedule, not have them affect the client, because you've got the bare running of it. You've got pretty locked down because you've allowed yourself that self-reflective kind of mindset, and you've also never stood still with your development. You've never said, "Oh, I've completely hit a level here. I do not need to improve at all." And you haven't just allowed that to then become your ruts. You've always progressed. You've always improved. So when you go to these shoots, you've got it under control to a degree, you know, and so does the team. They know what they're doing. You're always looking for that extra bit to push a bit further. You know, I was going somewhere with this, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just sort of like thinking there, like the things that we kind of, what we've talked about, some of the key points in summary are like, just prepare as much as you can, isn't it? Get as much preparation time in.
Always.
Especially get somewhere, if you can get there the day before, if possible.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of the shoot. If
know when the
know.
window cleaner's coming.
Yeah, know when
So
the window
you've got
cleaner's
that
coming.
covered off.
But prep,
Yeah.
get there early, depending on the size of the job, and you know, and then really do a good breakdown of what expect the unexpected on the actual job. Be prepared for that. Have a plan B.
Yeah.
For the critical situations like sound, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And then afterwards, it's like break it down. How could I improve that slightly? Keep in a sweet spot. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Don't change your process every job. Maybe just do small things. What was the last thing? Damn it, it's gone out of my head now.
I mean, I think for me, the big one is if you're looking to improve and to get around these things, it's who you're working with. But I think the characters that you have on set are a big factor as to how that affects you. And I think the final thing really is self-reflection. Don't beat yourself up too much. You know, some things are outside of your control.
That's my last point.
Was it? There you go.
Yeah,
Good
don't
point.
highlight your mistakes.
Yeah.
Just learn from them.
Learn from them. Be gracious. Move on. And I think, you know, wherever possible, don't let the pressure get to you. You know, we're all in it to win it. We're all creating something. When you're doing something creative, there's always going to be challenges, and that's part and parcel of the job. If you let those challenges consume you, then you're going to have a stressful life. Be
nice. Just be nice to everybody, and and they'll be nice to you, and then 75% of it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Well, should we wrap it up there?
I reckon is that the first one done?
Well, technically, that's the second podcast.
Oh, that's the second one. Yeah, the first one is a real.
We spent so long setting up.
Yeah.
You said, right, I've got to go for a meeting in like 2 minutes. So then that was
the first one's a real golden nugget. There's some great stuff in there. So yeah.
Brilliant. But we'll review this one. We're not gonna edit it. I'm just gonna put it up. We're not gonna beat ourselves up if it's terrible or how we come across. Just gonna put it up and see how it goes and keep it rolling.
And we're gonna see what we can improve on. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Well done.
Oh, cut.
Boy. Honestly, if you told me you weren't.